here's Brody Brazil.
I'm going to say it right off the top. This is one of those videos where I'm going to have to actively contain my excitement. That's because we have new renderings to look at, not just of Howard Terminal, but quite honestly, for the first time, of the surrounding neighborhood and this ballpark village. Now, full disclosure, these renderings, they've actually been out for almost a month now. About a week before Christmas, the A's, as part of a design update to the city of Oakland, they put together this document, but the team did not publish these. They did not really promote these. Not a lot of people caught on to this new imagery and these new graphic depictions, which I think are fantastic. Like I said, they just give us more of an idea of what Howard Terminal and the surrounding neighborhood are going to look like. Now, with that said, I'm going to dive through, about 20 new pictures and the most interesting ones I saw. I think we all understand, though, when it comes time to actually visiting this site, whenever it does get built, things may not look exactly like this, but you're kind of getting an idea of how things could shape up. So let's jump right into the presentation here. And before the renderings, I actually thought this map was quite valuable. Still, a lot of people don't exactly understand the neighborhoods surrounding Howard Terminal, and they've kind of divided it here into the Jack London District, the Acorn Industrial District, there's West Oakland, Old Oakland, Chinatown, Downtown, and Uptown. Again, just something to soak in for a lot of people who are still like, where exactly is this? What's the layout? What's the, relative geography of where this ballpark and this site is going to be? That's pretty cool right there. Those two cranes, which are staying in place on like the southeastern portion of the site, and all of this open land here. People enjoying a picnic on the grass, going for a jog. I do think the open lands part of this project, it's been talked about, but I think that's going to be one of the realizations for people, that they see how much this area has been opened up to the public and how attractive it's going to be to the public, even on non-game days. I think this is a similar rendering as before, but maybe the image is just slightly panned to the left. I mean, look at right below me here. The kid wearing the Dave Stewart jersey. I got to give Stu a bunch of grief on that one. Stu's jersey is in these renderings. That's actually really cool. But kind of a different look there, including the cranes, including that little flyover there. I guess you could assume that this is probably opening day. I'll take myself off the screen here just a second to give you a better look at this. Athletics Way, it circles the entire stadium, which is a circular shape. I don't know if that's specifically a nod to the Coliseum, but it is interesting, and this is definitely a new rendering there of some bleacher areas, or I should say picnic table areas there. I really like that facade. It's simple. It's California. A lot of glass, tall pillars. And quite honestly, we're getting away from that throwback ballpark look, which was so prominent in the 90s. Started with Camden Yards. Everybody copied it. The A's are kind of, breaking the mold. Let's be honest. Does that old ballpark feel, does that really mesh with the waterfront here? I mean, it could, right? It could, but I got to say, and I was one of the biggest proponents of the old style ballparks for all those decades, all those years, every new one that came out. They would top it, but maybe we're seeing the A's kind of buck the trend and start off in a new direction. This modern, simple, California-esque design. Bjarke Ingels Group out of Europe, they're actually doing all the design on this. So I also think this is a new depiction right here in a sense of people in the park enjoying that area. Gives you an idea of the grass and the waterfront and what that shoreline is going to look like right there with the Oakland estuary. How beautiful is that? Now, I'm not sure the exact location. I love what they've done with the landscaping there, but there's Alameda, there's the sun setting in the distance. People are going to be able to enjoy Oakland and enjoy the Bay from a totally new perspective here. And like I'm saying, I don't even know that this is a game night, right? This doesn't even have to be a game night. This could be a different night of September or the summer, or honestly, even before baseball season begins. I mean, we know here in the Bay Area, there are some really nice February and March nights before baseball season even starts. Another view of the cranes and all the grass area, kids running around. Again, realize it's a rendering, but even if it's half this beautiful, if it's half this open, I think people are going to be really excited about it. Another perspective of the cranes, and I like how they've done this kind of with the fisheye lens view and angle here, so you can really get a wide span of those cranes. Now, I've actually stood under them, and what I have to say that most people don't understand yet is how majestic those cranes are. I mean, we've all seen the photos, right? We've seen them from afar, we've seen them from the water, or we've seen them from parts of Oakland, but when you literally stand under one of those cranes and you look up and go, wow, there's a lot to look at. Those are big. And hopefully they, give them a new coat of paint, they retrofit them. I heard the idea of maybe putting a room up there or something, a viewing area. That would be cool too. And I did joke around back in the day about bungee jumping off of them or zip lining off of them. I mean, the possibilities are endless, but keeping those and building kind of a neighborhood or even a park area, an open space around those, that is so very cool. I love the fact that all of this is being implemented, and it's going to be a signature of the project. And again, this is a new image. This is a new perspective. I love to see it. I also like this as we see more of the open space. That is such a cool structure. The fist out of the ground, made of what looks to be reclaimed wood. Let me get myself out of here so you can just enjoy the whole thing. But all these walkways and pathways and the shoreline, and it's one of the things about the environmental impact report for this project is that they are trying so hard to make this as green and as friendly and as sustainable as humanly possible. And, I love the foresight on this. It's 2022 right now. This issue is only going to be more important in 2032 and obviously 2042 as well. But, making this land usable on an everyday basis, so clutch. That's such a cool image right there. I think this is a relatively older rendering, but they added people to it. And see what I'm talking about there? At the top level of the cranes, they've actually introduced what looked to be like viewing decks up there. Again, these are old cranes. They're from the early 80s. I did a little research on that. I don't know how much more modifications they could do or actually if they could take advantage of those spaces, but think about adding them there. And yeah, little dots, all those little dots. They've added people to this view right here to give you kind of a better perspective. But it looks, with all those trees, and hopefully they can get them planted early, they can mature. You get some of that tree growth in there. This is going to be a spectacular looking site as well as very functional too. This one doesn't necessarily give you detail of what the buildings will look like, but quite honestly, I think this gives you a better idea of what the entire site will look like. Now, this one's probably after multiple decades because, to be very transparent, the ballpark and I think maybe a surrounding building or two are being built at first. All of that other space not being initially developed. This is being done in phases. So I think it's wrong to put this out there and say, well, here's how Howard Terminal is going to look opening day of 2020, whatever. It's not going to look like this immediately, but this is the plan eventually. Now, we're going to talk about Oracle Park in San Francisco for just a second. Look at a picture of that ballpark and the surrounding neighborhood on opening day of, was it the year 2000? And then look at it, or was it 99? Why do I keep forgetting? Right around the turn of the century. Get my years mixed up. But take a look at it opening day of its first game and take a look at it now. The area in 20 plus years has completely developed, partially because of the ballpark, partially because of the tech industry in the South Market area of San Francisco. That's the point here, is that I don't know that you're going to see all of these buildings shoot up initially, but through the phases eventually, this is the plan. I love this. More of athletic sway. And let me just soak this in for a second. The ground level view. Shops, businesses, a little bit of retail, places for fans before and after the game. Also places for people who are going to live in this brand new neighborhood. And I really like the circular nature of this. You see the pedestrian area, places to sit. It's going to be shaded, not that you're necessarily going to be bothered by heat at this location on any regular basis. Right by the bay, it's going to be relatively cool and breezy. But I really love the design. All that glass there at the bottom of the ballpark. To me, for whatever reason, the stuff I'm covering right now, it really resonates. And I also have to say, every time I see all this new imagery and I see the A's logo and A's fans and the green and gold, like all I've ever known in my life is that logo and those colors attached to an old ballpark. And it was an old ballpark even when I started going there, 1981 or 1982. And it's only got older since. So to see the logo and the colors you're familiar with and on something brand new, it gets me. It always does. And this is the latest round of, 5 different versions of renderings. But it never ceases to like just get me. Okay, I want to go back to this one for a second. Kind of a street view here, and it's got the note down there in the corner. Street surface to be determined. Pavers may not be feasible. Again, that's the whole thing with these renderings. If we someday take an identical picture of wherever this rendering is being depicted from, it's not going to look like that. The buildings won't look like that. Trees won't be there. That's a very cool elephant statue made of gold, but I don't know if that's going to be there, or at least gold-plated. But it gives you an idea of what this project could look like. You see the ballpark there off kind of to the left in the distance where people are crossing the street, getting over to it. It's just, I love the surrounding area and what this could become, and that street leading right down to the other set of cranes, the northwestern, I guess, cranes that would remain intact. But that's just inspiring right there. I mean, just look at the scene. People like that going to an A's game. I mean, let me just stop it right there and say, I know people love their tailgating too. And the A's have talked about making ways, and as they design this, of figuring out how to make some of that continue. But I'm just telling you right here, it might be different. It might be a lot better. Right? So I'll get into that in a different video. I'll get into the tailgating old versus what could be new in a different video. I want to stick on the renderings here, but I do have some thoughts about that, so we can dive into that later. Again, that scene inspires me. How about this? A's banners all over the place. Hopefully that would continue into, downtown, uptown, Chinatown, old Oakland. You could expand this look. You could expand this pride in the team throughout the surrounding neighborhoods, not just Howard Terminal. But I really like the way that looks right there. Another ground level view. And like I said at the top of this video, this is kind of the cool part of these renderings. We've seen the ballpark. Now, it would be awesome to see more inside, what the scoreboard might look like, or where that would be placed, or what the concourses might look like. And I'll bet you those do exist right now. I'll bet you Bjarke Ingels Group is working on them. I bet you the A's have seen some of them. They're not public to my knowledge. In fact, like I said, these kind of slip through the cracks as well. And I will actually do a totally separate video eventually on this document containing these images, because there's a lot more information that you might find interesting. But going back to this, I think it's so cool to also see the surrounding neighborhood. Look at that building, how cool that is with the brick that kind of curves and then the glass is inset right there. Or all that like pillar structure. I like the way this is going. And like I said, even if it's not 100% identical, even if it's 55% identical, I like the way this is. And I also, like I said, I like seeing the surrounding neighborhood to go along with it. There's more of that. I know there's condos. I know there's a 400-room hotel they're talking about building. So amenities aplenty, and that's going to be important, right? I mean, you want people to come from out of town to visit this brand new ballpark. You want to make it a destination. You want to have an all-star game here. You want to make this a spectacle. You want to make it so, I guess, there's probably concerts on, nights that there's not a baseball game. I know you don't want people on the field, but maybe in the wintertime, you understand where I'm going with this. And there's also supposed to be an indoor, like not amphitheater venue, but an indoor performing arts center with a capacity of a couple thousand. So all this infrastructure around it is important to the events taking place there. Oh, that is so cool. I love seeing that wide open concourse. I like that's interesting in earthquake country, all those strong, those tall, hopefully strong pillars right there. I've said it before, that open area, like, I don't know what you call that, a foyer, whatever that is, that reminds me of entering Space Mountain for some reason. Do you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like all the white concrete, big platforms, big open walkways. When you're in line at Space Mountain in Disneyland, in SoCal, kind of looks like that. And I like that. It's just what it reminds me of instantly. But just that view, seeing that right there, so very cool. And again, I don't know how the entrance to the stadium is. Clearly, there's going to have to be, ticket takers and all that stuff. I'm not really certain about, all the detail is not here. This is a rendering. They're definitely missing things, but kind of gives you an idea of the overall design and style. How about that? Oh, I just love seeing the tree up there on the ceiling and Oakland projected up there and the banners. And right below me here, is that really a Jed Lowry jersey? I mean, is Jed Lowry still going to be on the team? Raleigh Fingers over there, 34, right? That's a classic. Like that, we better see plenty of that at Howard Terminal. But that's pretty awesome that a gold Jed Lowry number 8 is making its way to Howard Terminal. I hope Jed will be fondly remembered. I don't know if Jed's going to get a statue. Maybe it'll be his 7th or 8th time on the team by Howard Terminal. And Stomper, I have a feeling Stomper's going to exist. But colors, video screens, textures, trees, I like how they've kind of integrated everything right there into that rendering. I think there's just a couple more here, a different view of Athletics Way. Again, this is kind of the walkway that circles the stadium. Gives you a perspective of the ramps and the structure of getting up to like a second level or that entire rooftop area, rooftop park. I don't want to say rooftop garden because it's more than just that, but it is a living roof to this stadium on the very top deck, which also I think should provide some pretty spectacular views from up there. So that's a pretty cool image, and I think this might be the last one. So it gives you an idea of, and this is the kind of the center field entrance. If you're coming from Jack London Square, this would be one of the first things you see. So it's not the tallest thing in the world. It's not some style, I think, that's going to go out of style over the decades. It's simple, modern. Yeah, this is the latest round of renderings of Howard Terminal, and I just keep getting more excited the more I see stuff like this. So let me know what you think about these renderings in the comments section below. And quite honestly, I know I'll make another video the next time new images come out, and hopefully it won't be a month after the fact. Thanks for watching. Hey, don't forget, if you like this video, thumbs up on it. Also, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. I'll see you next time.